Dick Tobias, and I'm the president of the Ben Heroes Foundation that built this memorial and runs a flag program and does a few other things. I'm going to introduce you to all of the main people here today, why we're here. We're going to do two things here today. We're going to honor Earl Riley Arnold, World War II Pearl Harbor survivor. A fabulous story about your service, the Monahan and sinking submarines and motoring out of Pearl Harbor just as the Japanese were attacking. But it's a fabulous story, and also your story, Peggy, of finding your dad. That's a story all by itself. But thank you very much for coming to Bend for this ceremony. The second event will be for Jackie Panck down here. Jackie's on the chair there with at the end beside Bob. And Jackie's the widow of the late Frank Panck, a World War II Marine veteran who was scheduled to go with us on our honor flight trip this last month. Frank passed away last November, so we're going to have a ceremony for Jackie, because we don't forget anybody. I'd like to introduce some people here. Jackie Panck is right here at the end. Earl Riley Arnold is right here with his daughter Peggy Fortner, and her husband Roy. We have Michelle Doty that runs the High Desert Haven Adult Foster Care Facility here in Bend and does a marvelous job, and she has 5 residents, 3 of whom are veterans, and that means we Band of Brothers have got to go visit there, and they're missing a minister on Sundays. So you that preach, there's another opportunity to get down and minister to those fine folks. Rex Ocker, my dear friend and Commander, U.S. Navy retired, is also a case manager at Covo and is our chaplain, and it was, matter of fact, the chaplain when we dedicated this memorial almost 2 years ago. Can you hear me okay? All right. I'd like to introduce Jeff Yeager. Jeff is the mayor of Bend, and he's taken time out from his busy day to welcome us. And then we have Richard Smith and Denny Drury from the American Legion Post, outgoing and incoming commanders. And then we have Chuck Sellington right here, who's also a Pearl Harbor survivor, and he's the commander of the Pearl Harbor Survivors chapter here in Central Oregon. And I think he's got a couple of things he wants to do for Earl. And we'll make sure the 4th of July parade, we're going to talk about that? Okay. And then we have Bob Maxwell down here, who's going to make a presentation. Bob is a World War II Army veteran, and of course, you know, he's one of 15 Medal of Honor recipients living in the United States today. Cody Standiford is standing over here. He represents Greg Walden, Representative Walden, who's the best veteran ever had in Washington. Cody is a veteran himself, and he handles the veterans things here in Central Oregon for Representative Walden, and he's going to make a presentation to Jackie. Mike Jenna is the director of our foundation, another Navy guy, commander retired, also known for running the baseball game we had here the other night to raise funds for Honor Flight. Standing next to him is Leon Devereaux, my dear friend, another World War II veteran, Navy pilot, helped us dedicate this memorial. And see, John and Jean Fry down here helped us build this memorial, and they're here all the time to help put up flags. So John is a great designer for historical things, and Jean runs the registration for the museum, and if you have something you want to donate, you have to see her first. Is Leanne here? Leanne Denny? She's the secretary of our foundation. I thought she'd be here. Lyle Hicks. Lyle, I saw you here someplace. Lyle Hicks owns Jake's Diner, and it's the best place to eat. And it's where the Band of Brothers meets. We have over 550 members, and we crowd him out every Monday about 10:30, about 100 of us. And so Earl and Peggy and Roy, you're invited there for the Band of Brothers on Monday. Be there early because you won't get a seat otherwise. I'd like all the World War II veterans put their hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Bob, 7. So when we're done, I'd like to have all of you 8 come over here and get a picture, a group picture with Earl and your families and everybody, but we don't get these opportunities very often, so let's make the most of it. We have some veterans that we took to Washington, D.C. last month, Honor Flight veterans, Paul, Bob, Larry, Jack, where's Jack? Yeah, Jack too. So there are 4. Jack's over here. 2 Jacks. Yeah, we had 2 Jacks. So there are 5 of you. So You're going to be in the group photo afterwards. And their guardians. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pledge allegiance to this great flag of the United States right now. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Chaplain Ocker, will you bless us, please?
This is a particular honor for me because I served in both the Coast Guard and the Navy, and we have two Pearl Harbor survivors here, one of who served on the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Taney, if I remember, and was able to steam out of Pearl Harbor, and now Mr. Arnold, who also steamed out of Pearl Harbor. The small ships seem to be getting out a little quicker. My question is, which of you got out of the harbor first? The Monahan did. Okay, the Monahan did. Okay, good. Let us pray. Great God, we are immensely grateful today that we can be here on this beautiful day at this wonderful memorial in order to honor one more World War II veteran who we remember and kind of has come out of the dusty corners to be known and recognized today. We thank you for all who served, especially those who served in World War II and who have are in a unique part of this band of brothers and sisters who have raised their hand to serve in harm's way for the sake of our nation. Lord, we ask that you bless this ceremony, watch over each of us, and give us great appreciation for your love. Amen.
Thank you, Rex. The beauty of a small town like this is you get to know everybody, and this town is just full of wonderful people, including our new young mayor, Mayor Eager. Will you welcome us to Bend?
Thank you, Dick. And I want to welcome everyone to this event today on this beautiful Bend morning. I thought maybe I was the only person in Bend wearing a tie today, but I see there's a gentleman over here wearing a tie as well. So I'm not alone. What a beautiful day and what a great occasion for us to get together and honor Earl for his service to the United States in World War II, and to welcome Peggy and Roy to Bend after a long trip across the country from St. Joseph, Missouri. They say in politics you should always surround yourself by people who have done better than you or more than you. And so that's why I like coming to these veterans events, especially when Bob Maxwell's around, because his service to the country and being the only Medal of Honor winner living in the state of Oregon currently is an indication of what he's done for us. So please give him another round of applause if you would. He's a real treasure for the community. And also I'd like to thank Dick and everyone else who helped to put this event on. One of the proudest moments I've had as mayor occurred yesterday when someone mentioned to me that, boy, it seems like Bend is really getting a reputation for honoring its veterans. And I thought, you know what, that's great. That is tremendous, and it's not so much what the city of Bend has done, although we try to do our part, but it's people like Dick and the other folks who helped to put on this event and other events, like the honor flights that take World War II veterans back to Washington, D.C., that has really put us on the map and has helped us to do a better job of recognizing people who have sacrificed for this country. I'm very proud that the city of Bend and the Bend community does a good job of doing that. As I open my remarks. As mayor of Bend, I am delighted to welcome Roy and Peggy Fortner to Bend. They have driven from St. Joseph, Missouri to visit Peggy's father, Earl Arnold, a World War II Navy veteran and longtime Bend resident. Earl says Bend's population was 12,000 when he first visited Bend. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's about 76,000 plus now. Mr. Arnold was born in St. Joseph, Missouri on October 29, 1920, and he is now approaching his 91st birthday. He joined the Navy in 1940, serving on the destroyer USS Monaghan as a general deck non-commissioned officer. I believe there's a photo of the ship up here, isn't there, Dick? So there's a photo up there if you want to take a look after the event. Earl escaped Pearl Harbor during the Japanese attack as his ship had raised steam and sank a Japanese midget submarine in the harbor entry. Earl participated in the Battle of Midway, the Battle of the Coral Sea, Battle of the Aleutians, Battle of the Gilbert Islands, and the invasions of the Marshalls, Tarawa, and Guam. The USS Monaghan received 12 battle stars during World War II. Earl served on the Monaghan for 4 years and transferred off the ship several days before the ship was sunk in a typhoon in 1944 with all hands lost. So Earl definitely had some scrapes during his time on the Monaghan. Earl left the Navy after World War II as a bosun's mate, second class, and after the war he worked as a mechanic in a sewing machine factory in Los Angeles. Earl and his wife received many awards for ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing was something that Earl and his wife enjoyed. They vacationed in Bend for many years before moving to Bend in the 1970s. Earl worked as a mechanic for golf courses in Central Oregon and then retired again. Earl's wife passed away about 15 years ago. Earl met his daughter Peggy Fortner about 25 years ago after many years of Peggy searching for her dad. Peggy and his son-in-law Roy began annual visits to Earl about 3 years ago and have brought grandchildren and great-grandchildren to visit Earl here in Bend. Earl lives in High Desert Haven Assisted Care Home in Bend with several other World War II veterans. And I'd like to thank Michelle Doty from High Desert Haven for caring for our most senior veterans. Thank you, Michelle. Peggy and Roy received Earl's World War II medals from the Navy last December and drove from Missouri to Bend to present them to Earl. Michelle contacted Dick, who organized this ceremony, honoring Earl and presenting him with his never-before-seen World War II awards. On behalf of the City of Bend, I'm delighted that World War II veterans, including Mr. Arnold, and other veterans are honored here at the Bend Heroes Memorial with a very fine granite monument, engraved bricks, and the Bend Parade of Flags programs, all managed by the Bend Heroes Foundation. This memorial received the 2009 Bend Arts and Beautification Commission Award. And I think you can see why. What a beautiful place. What a great meeting place for the Bend community. And so once again, I'd like to thank you all for coming out to help to honor Earl and welcome Peggy and Roy to Bend. And I'd like to thank all the veterans here who served our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one more resident from your facility, Lauren down here. He was sent to Pearl Harbor right after the Japanese attack as a welder. Didn't you go back there to weld ships, right? The ones that the Japanese broke and the Americans put back together, and we went on to win the war because of people like you. Thank you very much. So what the moment you've all been waiting for is the presentation of these awards to Earl. So would Commander Richard Smith and soon-to-be Commander Denny Drury come forward, please? And could we have that little thing? Could he stand up with that? Yes. He needs that to stand. Okay. This one right here. On this side. Yeah, just one on each side and take that right over and present.
Thank you for your service. It's an honor to present these medals to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Attention. Half step back. Salute. Ready? 2. Thank you, sir.
Chuck Sellington is the commander of the Pearl Harbor Survivors Chapter number 5 here in Central Oregon. He has a presentation he'd like to make to Earl. Earl has authorized the Pearl Harbor Commemorative Medal and never received it. So I think Chuck has something to give you, Earl.
The same ship that we run with.
So Chuck, is Earl now a member of your chapter?
Yeah. I've used my card for it. That's my card, and we'll get in contact with you, okay?
And Chuck told me that Lapine is having a parade on the 4th of July.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to be in the Pearl Harbor Survivor Jeep?
Yes.
And you'd like to have Earl ride with you?
Yeah.
Could we do that? You don't get to drive though, Earl. You get to ride in the honor seat with Chuck. There are 5 Pearl Harbor survivors, maybe 6, here in Central Oregon. Chuck has been the long-standing commander of the group, and I want to thank him for all his years of service to perpetuate the honoring of those dear veterans. One of the things we do with a flag program, we put up flags 8 times a year, and it's pretty standard. You know, you do the 4th of July and President's and Flag Day and things like that. But Leon Devereaux came to me and said, well, why aren't you doing Pearl Harbor Day? So I said, if you get a group of veterans together or people together, we'll do it. So we're probably the only city in Oregon that puts up flags on Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, and Chuck tries to come up and help, and Harvey Waldron and Ray Kuhn, and so thank you very much for all of your great years of service, Chuck. And Mary Ann, where's Mary Ann? Right here, hiding behind the flag. Hey, hiding behind it. She's been a great help to all of us celebrating Pearl Harbor veterans. Now Bob Maxwell has got something he wants to do. Earl, you've got to be adorned with the proper things. Okay, so Bob has a presentation to make for you. You got to have a hat, and you've got a hat, but we think we got a little nicer hat. It's got the victory medals. And this is a flag that was flown over the U.S. Capitol for honor flight veterans, and so we think that Earl ought to have a flag that was flown over the U.S. Capitol for World War II veterans, so he's got a flag. He gets a flag. And he gets a certificate to prove that it was flown over the U.S. Capitol. And of course, he's got to get a T-shirt. So he gets an honor flight T-shirt, and he gets an honor flight tote bag designed by Yvonne here for the honor flight veterans. So this is what you carry your booty home in with, Earl. Thank you, Bob. Should we set him down? Okay. You can have a seat. Can you sit down? Okay.
Yeah.
Roy, let me have that box where you help me. Okay. Let me have that hat, and I'll take care of it. Isn't it amazing luck? They escaped Pearl Harbor because their steam was up on the ship, and they could race out of the harbor 8 minutes before the Japanese attacked, and they sank a Japanese midget submarine on the way out. 2 depth charges. They ran another submarine up on the rocks, a big one. I mean, just think of all the 4 years doing that, and he can describe some of the violent actions on the ship in terms of rolling in the waves, in the typhoon. And, you know, 3 ships were sunk in that typhoon. And his ship was sunk, and he'd left it 3 days before. So, you're blessed. Jackie Panck, would you come up here with Cody Standiford, please? This is a, Frank died before he could go with us on the honor flight trip, and so as our custom is, we have a flag flown in his honor, and then we bring it back, we have his name put on the flag, and then we present it to the survivors. So, Cody is going to present it. You've had it just for long enough. And there's a certificate that goes with it.
Congressman Greg Walden would like to present this flag. From the architect of the Capitol, the flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol on April 6, 2011. At the request of the Honorable Greg Walden, Member of Congress, this flag was flown in honor of Frank Panck, USMC and Merchant Marines, World War II.
Thank you.
And also on behalf of Congressman Walden, I'd like to say our thoughts have been with you, and we're very sorry for your loss. And thank you for supporting one of the absolute greatest of the greatest generation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Jackie. As you stand around, I'm sure you've had a chance to look down during the prayers and whatnot, but you'll notice there are a lot of bricks here that have names on them. There's 757 bricks down there with names on them. We now have space for 140 more bricks, and if you would like to have a brick to honor someone, including yourself, you can do that. I've got some brick order forms up here if you want to do that. The other thing we do for World War II veterans that we take back to Washington is we enroll them in the World War II Registry of Remembrances. And this is Frank Panck certificate that Jackie enrolled some time ago. This is Frank, his picture and his service, and I'm going to read his service. He's drafted in the Marine Corps in June of 1944. He was honorably discharged and then volunteered for the Merchant Marines. That was then under the jurisdiction of the Coast Guard, just like your Coast Guard was under the jurisdiction of the Navy. Yeah. He was assigned to the Uriah M. Rose to deliver bombs to Guam for B-29 bombers. He sailed to Eniwetok, the Marshall Islands, same place you were. And on to Guam to help unload the wounded from Iwo Jima. And we have Lauren Meyering as an Iwo Jima survivor. We're all connected, aren't we? Then he sailed on to Saipan, and then he was on loan to the Navy to man a 20-millimeter gun at Okinawa. He survived the kamikaze attack, sailed to Ulithi, where the fleets were gathering for the invasion of Japan. He had to sail back to San Francisco to load ammunition. By the summer of 1945, the bombs had been dropped on Yokohama and Nagasaki, actually Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the war in the Pacific came to an end. That's the kind of narrative that's good to put in for World War II veterans in the registry. So Earl, we'll do that for you next week, okay? Maybe we can do that Monday when we can spend a little more time talking about his service. But that's an example of how to honor a veteran, especially if they have left us. And those who survive, we do this for them. The Ben Harris Foundation does that. All right, so Earl, you think you can make it to La Pine for the 4th of July? Don't want to put you on the spot. Okay, well, we'll work on that, and we'll have somebody drive you down there. Okay. Thank everybody for coming, but let's get a group photo of the World War II veterans here. And Rob, where's Rob Kerr? Is he gone from the bulletin? Okay, let's get some group photos of the World War II veterans over here and their family members who would like to be with them. Chuck, Mary Ann, and all of you come on down here. We'll get a picture.